is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That's a brand new tune from the band Kix, a tune called All the Right Things. And on the phone right now, the guy that has all the right things to say, it's the one, the only, it's Steve Whiteman of Kix. Steve, how are you, man?
I'm great, Chris. How are you?
Excellent, man. Well, Steve, gotta say, man, it's been forever since we've had a Kix record, and you delivered quite well, man. Excellent release.
I'm hearing a lot of good things about this record, surprisingly, because, you know, when we were thinking about putting this thing together, we didn't know what the outcome would be. We didn't know how it would be received, but we thought it was something that we wanted to do, so we did it. And everything I've heard so far has been mostly positive, so fingers crossed.
Sure. Well, Steve, talk a little bit about, I guess I want to start with more of the business side than the music side, just because the last time Kix had a record was when in the days of $500,000 recording budgets and
Exactly.
big promotional money and tour support and all that stuff. Well, that's all gone. But yet you guys...
Thank God.
It's good, it's bad. I mean, it's certainly good that you guys get to keep what you make, I'm assuming now. But at the same time, it's definitely, you got to work a lot harder to get the word out that you're back, right?
Yeah, but, you know, so much has changed since our last record. And when we made records for Atlantic Records, I mean, they would send you off to some exotic location, New York City, Los Angeles, Miami, like you said, spend hundreds and thousands of dollars with tour support, videos, the whole 9 yards, get you in such a huge, massive debt that you could never get out of it, which was our case and most other cases of bands that we toured with in the 90s. And just the whole way of getting word out with social media and everything today, and the way that you can record. We recorded this in Mark Shanker, our bass player, in his studio in his house. And the fact that you can do that, and we could all write from home and shoot files to him, and he could import it into Pro Tools. It's just, everything is different. Everything is better. And yeah, the satisfaction of knowing that whatever money is made goes in our pockets and not the labels, not the agents, not the managers. You know, it actually will wind up in our pockets for the first time.
Sure. Now doing a project this way, and especially coming back together, how was not only the chemistry, you know, in the studio, but how was the chemistry of more or less trying to redefine the business? And I know you guys have been back together for a few years now, but how was it that you were able to reconstitute the business when there's a whole new business model to build? Was it like starting a new business or a new band?
No, not really. I mean, in the time that we were apart, we all had our own projects going. So, you know, we had to learn the business for those projects. My project was Funny Money, which included Mark Shanker and Jimmy Chalfant in Kix. And Brian has Rhino Bucket, and Ronnie has the Blues Vulture. So we were taking care of all of our projects. So when we got together, you know, it was pretty simple to put our heads together and see what direction we wanted to go down and just do it.
Sure. Now, Steve, let's talk about the new record for a minute. It is Classic Kix, and it's, there's a couple of tunes that might remind people a little more of Funny Money than Kix, just because they're a little bit more slower and grindier, if that's a word. You know, songs.
Okay, I like it.
You know, but overall, if you were a Kix fan before, there's nothing here that's going to make you say, "Wow, now they're a modern metal band" or anything like that. You know, you really captured the essence of what the band always was.
That was our goal when we decided to do this, and it was we were sort of urged by Frontiers Records after we released a live DVD CD called Kix Live in Baltimore, and they were pushing us for a studio album, and that's what kind of got the juices flowing. And after about a year or two of writing individually and throwing it all into a pile, we were able to incorporate Taylor Rhodes. We got him involved in the project and allowed him to pick the material. Taylor had worked with our former bass player, songwriter, Donnie Purnell, and had co-produced a couple of Kix albums. So having him on board, we knew would keep us in line. It would keep us in that direction that Kix had always gone down. And his involvement and our willingness to whatever music he picked, you know, it was not a band picking. It was Taylor's ear that we trusted. And when we come up with the 12 or 15 tracks to record, we all just jumped in and did our best.
Sure. Now, listening through the record, the old themes of sex, drugs, and rock and roll are definitely there. I'm going to assume that's because you guys really have not like changed a whole lot, no?
I don't think so. No, I mean, when we first started doing these shows together, it was like riding a bike. I mean, we just got up on stage, and it was like we'd never stopped. So, if you still feel young at heart and you're still out doing all these things, you're going to write about them.
Sure. Now, Steve, one of the things that I always hear about Kix is it seems like you guys you have like an ebb and flow of emotion with fans, and specifically when you're playing live. And what I mean by that is you kind of don't hear a lot about Kix a whole lot unless you're from the Baltimore area until
Right.
you guys go out there and play festivals. And then when you guys play festivals, whether it's Rocklahoma or M3 or whatever, your name jumps to the front almost universally as the band that slayed on that stage at that festival. What is it about your band or your live performance that, so many other bands are just missing these days?
We give a shit. We really care about putting on the best show that we can possibly put on that day, and that's always been our intention and goal for every time we take the stage. And we're a fun band. We go up there with an attitude of let's make them laugh, let's make them dance, let's make them scream, let's make them sing, let's get them involved. Let's not be cooler than they are. Let's not preach to them. Let's just have some fun. Let's forget about your problems for an hour, hour and a half, and have some fun. And that's our intention every show. And we really prepare hard, and the things that I come up with on stage are usually thought out bits, almost like a comedian that I've done over the years. So it's a conscious effort to go out there and give them everything you got.
Sure. Now, which of the festivals that you guys have played in the last 5 years have been the best for you guys as a band?
I have to say M3 just because it is in our backyard, and a lot of bigger bands who sold a shit ton more records than we did will have to take a back seat to us. I mean, there's a lot of bands that have refused to go on before us, and the promoters just said, well, then we don't want you because Kix is closing the show.
Right.
And we just have that, we have rabid fans around here. And the one year that we did relent, I mean, they asked us, we don't care. They asked us, do you mind if Wasp closes the show? We said, we don't care. And the fans got irate about it. They didn't like it. So we closed the show no matter what.
Right. Now talk a little bit about that whole Baltimore love for the band, Steve, because I'll tell you, I'm here in Cleveland, and we've got a couple of bands that are very similar, not in style, obviously, but in the popularity. A band like Mushroomhead comes immediately to mind here in Cleveland. In Cleveland, they can sell 20,000 tickets like nothing. Then they go to Chicago, which is 5 hours away, and they're begging to give away 300 tickets. And, it's sort of, you guys are the Beatles of Baltimore, more or less. Why do you think that you guys became one of the pack elsewhere?
That's a good question. I mean, we weaned ourselves in the Baltimore area. When we were coming up, the drinking age was still 18. There was a club just about on every other corner. So, and we played them all, and we played them relentlessly. And then from there, after conquering Baltimore, then we moved to D.C., and then we started moving to Philadelphia, then up to New York, and then to Boston, and at the same time moving down south to the Carolinas and Florida. So pretty much on the East Coast, we could pretty much sell out any room that we played. Take us any further west and nothing. So it took a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication and a lot of our own money because the record company did not know what the hell they had. And we would bank our money and then go off to Chicago and Detroit and Cleveland, Cincinnati on our own dime and play. And that's how we acquired fans before our fourth album. It really took 3 albums and all of our hard work, sweat, money, to get people's attention. So when the fourth album came out, people were actually waiting on it, and that's the result of that record doing well.
Definitely. Now, Steve, I always put your band, and this is in my own head only, so tell me I'm an idiot if I am, but I always kind of put your band in the same category, not musically, but as far as how you were perceived with Mr. Big and with Extreme, for the fact that all 3 of the bands really were kick-ass rock bands, but were defined nationally by a big, huge ballad that they had, which I personally think misidentified the bands, all 3 of you. Do you feel like that? And in a way, do you almost regret that the first big thing that people remember about Kix was Don't Close Your Eyes?
Absolutely, we're a hard rock, high energy rock and roll band, and to be known for a ballad, definitely went against what we wanted our perception to be. But when you're told by a record label how things are going to happen, you really don't have much say in anything. You are at their mercy. After people saw us, they got it. But yeah, I mean, nationally, people viewed us as that ballad band, and yeah, that's just totally wrong.
Right, it certainly is, man. Well, there's no ballads here on the brand new record, that's for sure. These are all in your face, crunchy rockers, man. One of the tunes that I really like, and it really is quintessential Kicks, is Rollin' in Honey. That's just like dirty double entendre everywhere, type of music, man. Talk a little bit about that one, and specifically not only that song, but talk about the way you write lyrics, because on a lot of these songs, you're just all over the place with the double entendre, where it could mean this or it could mean that, or it could be clean and it could be dirty.
It usually is. You can take it clean or dirty. And that's the way I like to write. And I didn't write all the lyrics on this record. Mark Shanker had brought in a lot of songs that were pretty much complete. And that particular song, I think Taylor Rhodes and Mark kind of collaborated on that one. So I can't take any credit for those lyrics. But the song Dirty Girls was pretty much taken from me gawking at the Victoria's Secret magazine all the time. It's one of my favorite magazines. And I was writing lyrics about that. And the working title for that song was Sexy Girls. And everybody said, oh, that's a little bit too tame. So we gotta make it a little bit grungier than that. So we come up with Dirty Girls. So that's intentional, to have lyrics that, double entendres. That's the way that I've always written.
Sure. And with the double entendre, the first single, Love Me With Your Top Down, has been received very well, I think, as far as what I've seen online and what your publicist tells me. How's been the reaction that you've heard?
I've heard nothing but positive. And in our backyard, the radio stations are playing it around here and getting a lot of attention. A lot of people are calling in, requesting it. And it's a great first single. It's hooky as hell, and we've been playing it live, and it gets over like gangbusters live. So it's a good tune. So far, it was a good choice.
Sure, definitely. Well, Steve, the new record is getting ready to be released, and with that comes a lot of activity that comes with any release. What does the new year, or going forward the end of this year and the new year, look like for Kicks? It's really going to depend on where the record takes us. Right now, we have a few more festivals booked. We have, I don't know, maybe about 10 gigs booked right now. I'm sure that's going to change, but we'll go wherever the record takes us. If it blows up in, say, Cleveland or Chicago or Cincinnati, then we want to come to those towns and play for the people that want to hear the new music. We're not just going to go out and promote something that people aren't aware that it's out and don't want to hear the new stuff anyway. Most of our crowds, they want to hear the old stuff, and that's what we do mostly right now. We'll go wherever the record takes us. If it means going to Europe for the second time only in our lives, then we'll do that. But we won't know until we see what it does. Sure. Well, Steve, as a tradition on the show, we always ask everybody what is known as the traditional classic metal show question. We've literally asked 1,000 people at this point this one, and I'm quite sure you'll have an answer for this. How has Lemmy from Motorhead influenced your career?
You want the truth?
Yeah.
Not at all. Really? No, I didn't even know who Motorhead was until probably later in my career. I'm not a big metal fan, big hard filth metal. That really wasn't what I was weaned on. I come up on the Beatles and the Monkees when I was really young, and then I got into like Grand Funk and Alice Cooper and Led Zeppelin, AC/DC and Stones, and so I'm a little bit lighter than that. So. Okay. Unfortunately, I love Lemmy now, but coming up, I can't say there was much of an influence. Okay, fair enough. Well, one thing that could be an influence for a lot of new rockers is the brand new one from Kicks. The name of the album is Rock Your Face Off. And Steve, as a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track and maybe tell us a quick story about it. So what would you like us to end the interview with? I think Can't Stop the Show. That's the song that we've been opening our show with, and it's been working so well. We use that opening riff and kind of introduce each band member individually. So Jimmy goes out and starts off the drums, and then Then Mark goes out with the bass and kind of gets a nice round of applause from the crowd. Then Brian goes out and gets a big old roar, and then Ronnie goes out and gets a big old roar, and then I come out with doing the vocals. And by the time I hit the stage, the crowd's already on their feet and digging it. So it's a great intro. It's a great song.
Excellent. Well, let's get them on their feet right now. This is Can't Stop the Show. It's brand new Kicks right here on your Classic Metal Show.